Excellent. So let's just go over a little bit about myself. If you haven't met me already, I am an instructional consultant here at Cal. I'm from San Diego, California, and I currently live in the DC area in Arlington, Virginia. I have a background in English and a master's for TESOL and linguistics. I've also been a teacher and trainer since 2010. I've lived in China, South Korea, and I do specialize in student engagement, gamification, and EdTech tools. So we'll have a bunch of fun today. And as you can see, I do have a cat. If she's next to me as we do this workshop, I'll go ahead and show you her. She likes to sleep next to me. So for our workshop today, I'll do a quick review of part 1 from last week. Last week we went over on how to set up your Webex meetings in Blackboard, how to integrate that, and really how to make it easy for students to find your classes. So today I'll just do a quick review and a recap as well as a bonus tip on how to make your office hours very visible and easy for your students to see. Another thing I'll go over is using those built-in tools. So we'll collaborate as a group, as well as use these built-in tools that are already here for WebEx. I'll talk about using reactions, polling, Q&A, as well as the chat box more effectively. Then I'll go over some tips on how to share your PowerPoint and how to use your camera and join as a participant and share, right? You can use that as a document camera. And last but not least, we'll go over some Q&A, and I'll talk about the Q&A function with WebEx as well. So as we begin, I just want to go over WebEx class sessions and office hours that I went over last week, and let's show how to integrate this really effectively within Blackboard itself. So I will go ahead and share my screen. So here is my web browser, and let's go over our WebEx page. So here's my University of DC WebEx page. And as you can see here, I have my personal meeting room. So let's go over what we did last week as a group. So first we went over how to put your WebEx classes and link them for your students to see. So if you look on my page here, WebEx classes, if I click there, that will take me directly to this WebEx page. So if I were a student, I would be able to see all the upcoming class sessions. Let's go to virtual meetings. So all these upcoming class sessions that I went over last week, they can click on that. That will take them directly there. We also talked about having office hours. You can go ahead and open up your availability, and then the students can go ahead and choose what office hour to attend. You will receive an email confirmation as well as your student. But something that I want to talk about is simplifying this whole process and just having regular office hours every week that are drop-in. So for example, I offer drop-in ultra office hours every week. So instead of just having slots that can be booked by different students, they can click on a link, they can just drop in at any time. So the way that we can do that, right here, as you can see, I put WebEx office hours every Monday from 2 to 3 p.m. So if I go here, and I'll go to my office hours availability. Let's go to our main page. Okay, so right here, so my Cisco WebEx meetings, here it is. So right here, you can see that I have my personal meeting room. Now, if I don't want to set up office hours for my students, but instead offer drop-in office hours that are regular every week, I can go ahead and copy this link. And what I did here is I made a new link for them to see. So I'll just go ahead and click on the plus sign in Blackboard, create, and let's find the link option. So let me move this out of the way. Right here, I'll click on link. And I can put the link URL, which is my WebEx page, right there. University. Let me go ahead and get that again. So right here, I can copy that. And I'll go ahead and put the link in WebEx. So I like to label these to make it very easy. So for example, let's do drop in office hours. And these are offered Thursdays, 1 to 3 p.m. And I'll save this. I'll make it visible to students. So that is added right here. I'm going to just delete my old one. But as you can see, I just offer those drop-in office hours. So in addition to my WebEx classes that I offer 11 to 12:30 on Monday and Wednesday, I have my regular drop-in office hours every week, Thursdays 1 to 3. So if students want to drop in, they can see this link right at the top of my course page. They'll click on that. So as you can see, it'll just automatically open to that WebEx meeting. So as you can see here, just making it very easy for the students to see the WebEx classes that are offered, that will take them directly to that WebEx page. And then a link to my personal meeting room that I relabeled as drop-in office hours from Thursdays 1 to 3. Are there any questions I can answer about this so far? Excellent. So let's go ahead and move on to more of what we're talking about with next steps for our meeting. So I'll go ahead and share my PowerPoint. You can see I have two applications going. I'm going to stop and I'll reshare. So right here, I want to go over reactions. Now, reactions are a great way to get a feel of the temperature for the room. So all my participants today, how are you feeling? You can show me with one of the reactions on your toolbar. Excellent. Thank you, Professor Eagleson. Hopefully everyone is feeling great. Thank you, Dr. Moore. I can see that as the host. So this is a nice way to just get a feel for how everyone is doing in that moment. So just a quick temperature check for the room. Using these reactions and emojis can really make things fun for your students. Just give them a quick reminder. They can go ahead and click on that smiley face in their toolbar. That will give them 8 reactions to see. Another way to do this is using the chat box. So for example, if I just put a slide on the screen and I told my students, how are you feeling? Please type out 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So I'll go ahead and do that as well. And please type in a number. This is another way you can still have that participation in class by using this number system. Or if they're on camera, they can also hold up a finger to signify how they feel. Excellent. Thank you,
David,
everyone. Yes.
a quick question about the reactions. This is Juanita Eagleson's.
Yes.
I hate to be mean. I'm going to be mean. I'm going to be mean. If you've got a contentious student who wants to put in, let's say, 1, do you address it right then and there, or do you wait and kind of say, I see you're unhappy, let's talk after class, or what? How do you handle that right away?
That's a good question. Let's open that up to the group for discussion. What would you do if you had a student that just kept saying, let's say 1, 1, 1, 1, 1?
I'm Fatma. So Dr. Eagleson, and if I have it, I would say, oh, I'm sorry that you feel this bad, and we hope that we can cheer you up throughout the class. Meet me later.
This is a disgruntled student. You're talking about somebody who's reasonable.
That is a good question. So you know what I've done in the past to kind of eliminate those really bad responses or negative responses to start the workshop or meeting? So let's say that instead I put like 3 pictures on the screen or 3 GIFs on the screen. And it doesn't have to be a negative GIF, but it could be like 3 funny ones, and they can choose one of those instead of a negative one. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so. I think it does. It's the way that the doctor does in the emergency room, and you're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to answer on a scale from 1 to 10, how bad is this pain? And I want to say it's 20. What's
Mm-hmm.
wrong with you? I wouldn't be here if it were, but that's just me. But I agree. I think
Yeah.
there's a way to moderate that as well.
Yeah, I've always learned, when I used to teach in the classroom, so I taught in middle schools, is you kind of want to reframe every negative reaction and make it positive or constructive. So that's something that I try to do. Dr. Moore, if you want to chime in.
Yeah, I'm glad this is a point of discussion, just even for discussion, because there's no right answer. And I think that you provided some really great things, David, and what Fatima mentioned. But when we are looking to draw on an emotion or have people communicate how they are feeling, whether it's on a continuum or a scale or not, it is an important piece because generally speaking, we do this. Hey, how are you? Then we don't have time because they may very well not be okay. And I just think it is something to be mindful for as a faculty member or just a trainer or anyone in general, because it's like, do we have time to really dig into that, or do we have an idea or a plan to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to return to that student later in an email or office hour? So there is so many different, so deep we can get, or just general. But I do think the discussion, so that people can hear the strategies that you all have, is a really good point of discussion, because there is no right answer, but the onus is on whomever the facilitator is to, have some type of a pivot, according to whatever the response is.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Dr. Moore. That's so valuable because I remember one time I led a workshop and there were many people there. And I had something similar to what's on the screen, and a lot of them chose a negative reaction. They were just having a very bad day. So it kind of set the tone for the workshop in a kind of very awkward tone. So after that, I just put more kind of neutral or funny types of emojis or reactions on the screen just to kind of keep it very positive and very cheerful, right? So I know that that could be a best practice in the future. This is just a quick example using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or if everyone had their cameras on, you could also do that with your hands, right? So that could be a really fun way to just have a good start to your workshop. Right? But thank you, everyone. Excellent. So I want to move into using polling. Now, polling is a great thing you can do to check for comprehension, but also check the temperature of the room. And you can share these results afterwards anonymously. And for you yourself as the instructor, you can record the results. So let's say that you want to do a quick comprehension check for your students of the reading they did the night before. This can be a great way to do that. So I'm going to launch my own poll for this group. And then this is a poll that I already had saved. So a best practice here is before you actually have an event, open up your personal meeting room or a mock event and then make your own poll. And you're able to do that on the spot and then save it, and you can reuse it as many times as you want. So what I'm doing now is I'm opening up the poll as the host, and I'm going to find the poll that I already made for this workshop. I'm opening it, and then I will go ahead and launch it. Okay, so I put a poll on the screen for you with 3 different questions. So go ahead and participate in the poll, and I'll go ahead and share the results afterwards. And I see that there are 6 of us today, so. I will also participate.
David, on
Yes.
your scale from 1 to 5, is 1 the best or is 1 the worst?
1 is the worst. So let's say 1 is the worst or the least, and then 5 is the most.
Okie dokie.
Thank you. Oh, there are 4 questions. So if we had a UDC talent show, what would be your talent?
Oh,
I submit without the last 2 question. I didn't know that there's 4. How can I go back?
Let's see, that is a good question. So you already submitted, and I don't think you can go back, Fatma.
Oh, okay. My loss.
I
Stop.
should have been more clear though, right? There are 4 questions, not 3.
No, you have to tell your students, pay close attention. Don't
Close
be like
attention.
Bob. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and close the poll. And let's see the results. So I have about 20 more seconds. Thank you for the reaction, Fatma. So now as the instructor, I can share the poll results. And with Webex, these poll results will be shared anonymously. So it won't say Fatma said this. All right, so let me go ahead and share the poll results. So is everyone able to see the poll results on the screen?
Not as of yet.
Not as of yet, okay. Let me see if that works
I
now.
see the results
On
for
chat, yeah.
only how much. I see for 2 and 3, the responses, but not a distribution of the responses for number 1.
Okay, let's see if we can do the individual results. Okay, so for this one, as we see here, we can't see the short answer responses, but we can see the actual results for the multiple choice. So 3 of us said we enjoy working on a scale from 1 to 5 as a 4. 3 of us said 5, working remotely. And then how would you rate your familiarity with Webex? We have 2 for 5, and then 1 for 2, 3, and 4. Right? So what I will do is I'm going to share with the attendees your individual results. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Can everyone see my Chrome screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we see here. Let's go to here. So jingles, that was Dr. Moore. Can you tell us a jingle or sing us a jingle?
Oh, I didn't know I was going to be put on the spot. I can make one up about WebEx, you know.
That'd be perfect.
But if you are really asking me to do it, that's just one of my gifts. I can do it on the spot, but I won't bore you today.
No problem. Beverly says not sure, maybe lip sync. And then Julian, highly skilled musician. Very cool. Juanita, you are a great storyteller. And then for me, I put cooking. I love to cook. So this is a great way that we can kind of, or I can get a feel for the room. I can see the results individually. I can also choose to share this or just be anonymous and I can just say these things out loud. So I love to use the polling feature in WebEx just to really have fun with my classes. So let's move on to screen layout. You may be familiar with this already. I just wanted to add this as just a quick reminder, and also you can tell your students about this as well. So number 1, we can do a grid view. If I stop sharing, I can see everything in a grid layout. I can go to the upper right, I can choose stack. I can also do side by side. So when you are sharing with your students, you can remind them that they can choose the layout as side by side, so they can see the speakers on the side of the screen, and then they can see the main PowerPoint on the left. So let me go ahead and share this.
While you're doing that,
Yes.
David, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
On the layout, I have a couple of classes with 25, 26 people in them. The layout only, the screen only allows me to see maybe 10 at a time, 10 names or 10. Is there a better way to shrink that or to get all 26 people on the screen? I don't know how to do that.
Let's open that up to the group. As I do that, I'll stop sharing so I can see the grid.
What was the question again?
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
next
Go
to
ahead,
the
Bob.
grid, oh, I'm sorry. So next to the layout, there is a button on the top, right. It's you might have to hover over. It's called layout, and next to it there is zooming. So I found out when you zoom out, you can get more people in the on the grid, and when you zoom in, you will have less people. So maybe Dr. Eagleson, you have it zoom it in or in the middle, because I think the default in the middle. So you might want to play with that.
You say if I hover over layout, if I put my cursor over layout, I should see something that says Zoom on there, under there as
No,
well?
so on the top right,
Uh-huh,
there's
right.
two buttons. One written on it, layout, and the
Yeah.
other one is it's kind of like a sidebar, zoom in and zoom out.
Okay,
So sometimes it come with like zoom in, so you will see everybody like what maybe one person only,
Right.
even if you change the layout.
Yeah,
okay, great.
thank you, Fatma. Yeah, so there's like a magnifying glass tool where you can decrease the video size and increase. And
Yeah,
right now, I just tested it out too. I had my chat box open. Once I close the chat box, that also puts more videos on the screen at the same time.
great. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Fatma, as well. Nice troubleshooting there. So you can remind your students that they can do the side-by-side view. And then what Fatma was telling as well earlier, let me go ahead and highlight this, is right here next to the layout, you'll see something that looks like a magnifying glass in that slider tool where you can zoom in and zoom out. So you can have more on the screen in that gallery view. I'll go ahead and turn this off. So Whiteboard, Whiteboard is another good tool. If you're not using this already, the whiteboard is a great way to collaborate. I'll go ahead and share the whiteboard and turn that on. And can everyone draw a smiley face for me? I'll go ahead and do that as well.
I don't have permission to annotate.
Okay, let me go ahead and add that right now.
I can't grab anything either.
Okay, so let's do that. Participants.
I can't either.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and go over that as well. You should
Oh.
have permissions right now.
Yeah. Let's see. I need a pencil.
You can also change the color.
Oops. Oh
So look
dear.
at this. We're all annotating on the whiteboard. So remember, you can also have multiple whiteboards. You can save these as well. You can add it to Blackboard as a screenshot. I see a bunch of different rectangles. Very cool. So Professor Eagleson, if you don't mind, do you ever use the whiteboard in your classes?
I used it the first 2 weeks and
Mhm.
I thought I was recording. I thought I had it on record. And when I went to the recording, there was absolutely nothing there in terms of the whiteboard. So I said, oh dear, I'm not using this again. So to answer your question, I've tried it and I love to type on it, but I don't seem to be able to reclaim it when when it's in the recording mode. I don't get what I did on the whiteboard.
So I'll show you in a screenshot, but on the whiteboard itself, on the very left, below the pencil, there's a down arrow. If you click on that, you're able to save this whiteboard.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Look at that big face, the blue one. Very cool. I love this. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. So you can go ahead and do a new whiteboard. You can do multiple whiteboards, which is also really fun for your students. And yeah, Professor Eagleson, if you look here, I'm going to circle it. Do you see this down arrow on the very left side?
Yes, absolutely. Mhm.
Click on that. That'll save that whiteboard for you.
Great. Thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions or discussion points for the whiteboard, how you use it? I love that this example, the whiteboard looks so professional. All right, so look at that.
Or can I ask, this is Beverly, where did you go to access the whiteboard?
Yes, great question. So whenever you share something, if you look at my screenshot here, there are different tabs, By default, it'll go to the window tab, but what you want to click on is this whiteboard tab. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Once you click on the whiteboard tab, just click on new whiteboard and then share, and that'll share the whiteboard and put it on the screen for you.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Would you like to try it now?
Click on share.
Yeah, so I'll stop sharing and then you can share as the participant.
It says share content, share web browser.
So go to share and then you see there's a, yes, perfect.
There we go.
And this is your whiteboard, right?
Oh, yep. There's my name.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Beverly. So I'll go ahead and share my PowerPoint again. So let's move on to annotating privileges, because what happened in this situation is exactly what may happen in your classroom. So like what Fatma said earlier, she was not able to annotate. So I needed to change the privileges for letting my students annotate or anyone else in the workshop to annotate. So when you go to participant in your upper settings on Webex, go down to assign privileges. If you click on that, you're able to choose all these different privileges that you want for your students. So for example, in that case, I chose annotate right here for the document for participants, right? And then once I do that, I click on apply. And I just did that. It just took a second or two. And then you saw that privilege that you can annotate on the screen. Any questions about this part? So I thought that I set this by default already, but it wasn't. So I was able to just really do that very quickly, right? So I'll go ahead and move on. And I want to do another annotation activity with this world map. So if you click on annotate, click on that arrow tool that you'll see, and then put a spot on the map where you would like to travel, maybe next year. So I'll go ahead and do that as well. I put New Zealand. Let's see other places you would like to travel on this world map by clicking on that arrow tool on your left. Is everyone able to do this? Okay, I see Beverly.
I don't have the tool.
Oh, the arrow tool?
Yeah, I think it asked me to request it to annotate.
Ah, okay. So let me go ahead and do this again. Because I see Beverly is doing that. So I'm going to manage panel. Give me a second.
But now I don't see I don't see the map.
Yeah, I'm
Is
going
it
to
fine?
share again. Let's see, I'm going to reshare. Are you able to annotate now, Fatma?
Not the map.
Not the map. Okay, maybe you have to request it.
Okay.
Excellent. So I approve that. Anyone else that would like to show me on the map? And then using that arrow tool, you can put it on the spot you would like to travel to if you could. So I see for myself, I put New Zealand as a place I would like to travel to. Fatma, where would you like to travel to?
India.
Why?
I'm always fascinating about the culture and it's a similar collective society like the Egyptian as well. So it's just the history and the food. I love Indian food, or mostly are vegan or vegetarian. So
Mhm.
I'm really on my bucket list.
Excellent. Me too. I've never been to India. The closest I've been to India was Myanmar, but I would love to visit India as well one day. So as you can see, you can use this for a lot of different applications. If I'm showing something on my screen or on PowerPoint, they can annotate, they can circle, they can use the arrow tool, maybe different parts of the body, or if I'm doing a comprehension check, I can go ahead and see this on the screen, just like so. So breakout rooms are another one. I'll do this quickly. I know we have a very small group today, but when you are enabling breakout sessions, I just want to go over a couple quick best practices. So as the host, we can use a breakout session for going over a specific topic or discussions in groups. Now, to enable a breakout session, you'll see at the very top of your Webex bar, breakout. Click on that and then enable breakout session. Now you can assign these automatically or manually. So for example, if I have 4 discussion groups in my class, I can manually arrange these different discussion groups, discussion group 1, 2, 3, and 4. I can also do this automatically. In this example, 7 participants will be automatically put into 3 different breakout room sessions. And I'll go ahead and click on Start Assignments. So as you can see here, you're able to relabel the different discussions, give them a specific name. You can also move attendees to different breakout rooms. And I know this is small, but you can allow attendees to return to the main meeting, join the breakout sessions later, and then you can show a countdown warning 60 seconds before closing a breakout session. So clicking on join session from the notification or join from the participants list to help in the breakout session. So in the breakout sessions themselves, the participants can go ahead and request your help. So if they do need help as the instructor, as the host, you can go to that individual breakout sessions. Now I want to open this up to the group. When would you use a breakout session in your classroom? Or for what purpose?
We're doing group projects, so when they're working on their group project, then I would probably use the breakout sessions. Once they've been put into groups, then I will set aside time for them to go into their group, to work with their group on their group project.
Excellent. Beverly, if you don't mind me asking, what's a good number of participants in each breakout session?
I have 22 students, so probably I would do, and they're going to be in groups of 3 in terms of working on their project. So what's that, 7 different ones?
Mm-hmm. And then for about how many minutes would you put them in a breakout session?
Probably so that they can talk and go back and forth as to where they are on their project, probably for about 20, 25 minutes.
Excellent, right? So thank you, Beverly, for contributing. Another best practice that I have is when you're doing a breakout room, you can also broadcast as the host, right? You can send them a message to everyone to see in their chat box. But right here, something I do, let's say I do a quick breakout session for 5 to 10 minutes, and I do groups of 3 or 4. Now, what I like for them to do, which I find is easiest, is if they have their phone near them, they can go ahead and take a picture of this slide. So you don't have to remind them to write down the questions or anything like that. So they can have a slide picture or a concept. So they'll take a picture of that, they'll have it on their phone. They're able to look at their phone as they have this class from their computer. So just a quick example, what characteristics should a good teacher have? And there are many educational resources online, such as videos or even full university classes. So in this example, I just used 2 questions, and I like to give a directive for choosing one person to summarize the main points. So if I wanted to discuss these as a big group when we come back, they can choose one person in their smaller groups, and when we come back, that one person can go ahead and discuss and share these main points that they talked about. So any questions or comments about this best practice?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
So would these breakout rooms be also good for maybe scaffolded groups? When we're talking about skill-based scaffolding for students who may have lower skills at certain activities versus other students, and try to pair those students together?
I think that's a great idea, right? What's an example of when you would use this in, say, a classroom that you taught?
So generally in math, you have students who may be higher academically than others, and that comes with certain skills that they may have. So would it make sense to say maybe use two higher level students in a breakout room with maybe a student who needs some help with certain skills, and those students can kind of push that other student to be further, and that learner to learner interaction ultimately will bring that student up to par, try to bring them closer to the mark.
I love that. That's a great idea, right? You can go ahead and pair off students with different levels so they can really work with that peer-to-peer mentorship. Thank you, Julian. That's a great suggestion. But definitely giving them a directive as well, choosing one person to summarize, one person to be a scribe to take notes. These are things that they can share. They can also upload these notes or discussion points that they talked about in their breakout session on Blackboard in a discussion assignment. Right.
I have a question, David. I didn't use a lot of breakout in WebEx. So is there a way for the faculty to push some questions or reminder for a student while they are in the breakout room?
Great question. So this is called broadcasting in WebEx. So basically, as the host or an instructor, you can click on that broadcast button. So you'll see that underneath all the participants on the right side. And in this example, I'll just go ahead and circle it. So you can choose to broadcast to all breakout sessions in this example, or specific breakout sessions. And then you can put a question. Let's say a question for group 1, a question for group 2, or a question for all the groups to discuss. And thank you for pointing that out. Right. Any other questions I can answer about this? Thank you, Fatma. So the last part I want to go over today is sharing your PowerPoint and then using your phone as another participant as a document camera. So let's go over some best practices for this. So I'm going to share my screen for this example. Okay, so as you can see, this is my desktop screen. And one of the things whenever I participate in a workshop as a host, I like to have things on my screen where I can see a lot of different things at once. So whenever you set up a PowerPoint, something that I've learned is by default, when you present a PowerPoint, it'll be in this full screen. But I want to see other things on the screen at the same time as well. So let's say the chat box or the videos of my students or the video of myself. And those are things that I want to see all at once. So what I like to do is set up my PowerPoint to be shown in a window. So let me go ahead and walk you through on how to do that. So I'll go ahead and escape. And right here on the toolbar where it says slideshow, let's go to set up slideshow. So if I click on this, presented by a speaker in full screen is the default mode, but let's go to browsed by an individual window, and I'll click on OK. Once I click on this and now I present my PowerPoint, you can see on my screen it only takes up a smaller portion of my screen, and I can go ahead and open up the chat box right here. I can expand the panels to show the videos, and I can show and look at other things on the screen at the same time. Was everyone able to see how I did that?
David,
Give me
may I ask you to
yes.
do it again? This is
Yes.
really new to me, and I would love to know it.
Excellent, yeah. So let me go ahead and walk you through the default. So by default, if I present a PowerPoint, do you see what happens now? It just shows up on my full screen.
Right.
I don't like that because I like to see other
Right.
things at the same time on my screen or open up something else at the same time. So if I exit out of here and go to slideshow, and do you see where it says set up slideshow?
Yeah.
Click on this and then go to browsed by an individual window right here. So I'll go ahead and click on OK. And the difference now is it shows up as this window, which I can move around and manipulate. I can make it smaller, but I can still just present this window, but now I have a lot more space on my desktop.
And you can make it bigger?
You can make it bigger, right? So I
Okay,
can make it
awesome.
bigger, smaller. Whenever I present for a workshop, this is what I like to do with my PowerPoints. So I can just have other things open on my screen at the same time or see the chat box, participants, etc. Excellent. Any questions about this?
That was very helpful.
Yes, it's something that when I used to do a lot of Zoom presentations, especially, it takes up my full screen, so I wasn't able to see everything at once as the
Right.
host. So now that you do this with PowerPoint, right? So go to Setup Slideshow, browse by an individual window. Now you can move this around, you can make it smaller, but for the participants, it'll just look like that big size, right?
Right.
Yeah. Excellent. One more thing I want to show as a trick is having a document screen. So I'm going to exit out of this. Okay, so now we're back to the gallery view, and I have joined as another participant from my phone. So what I will do now is I'm going to share my screen. So I have the Webex app on my phone, and I have joined as another participant for this actual meeting. So I want to share my screen and use it as a document camera. This is something that I used to do when I taught. So on my phone, I can go ahead and click on share screen, and I'll start the broadcast. Right? Okay, so now everyone should be able to see my screen. So just a note, remember that everyone can see what's happening on your screen. So you can put it on do not disturb so you don't get those different messages on the screen. Right? So what I will do is I'm going to open up my camera. Like I'm going to take a picture. So here's my document screen, right? So you can see right here. And there's everyone, right? Okay, so here's my dinner for tonight, right? I have a can of beans, I have a can of salsa. So I like to use these as kind of a prop document camera. So I'm going to put my camera on here. And let's go ahead and do this. Right, so you don't need an expensive document camera because you can choose your can of beans or anything to prop up. And now my students can see this document camera. So I joined as a participant for this WebEx meeting using my phone. I'm still here as the host. So you can see me. You can also see what I'm writing on here. So for example, let me go ahead and put, I need to make ice and beans. So a lot of different uses you can do here, right? And this can be a document camera. So I'm using my phone's camera. I'm joining as another participant in this workshop, and I'm able to write things on here. This math equation is probably wrong, Julian, but as you can see here, let's say I'm doing something with math, I'm showing a worksheet, so I can go ahead and use this as a document camera, and they can still see me as the instructor here as well. So just a quick trick, if you ever need a document camera or to show something or to write something on the screen, just directly on your desk. So what I did, remember I just stacked up my dinner right here, and I can put my phone there, and now I have a document camera I could use for my session. Any questions about this?
No, I think that's a good idea. Normally, when I do math lessons, I'll use the annotation piece, but it never occurred to me as a problem solver to use my phone as a necessarily document camera when I go through equations and things like that. So that's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome, right? And you don't have to use beans. It's just something that I had. Another thing I have here is I have a little stand. So I'll go ahead and put it right there. So I can put it on here, the stand, and I can just tilt it. And I could do the same thing, but I just wanted to give you an option if you have those cans around you. You can just write. I know sometimes it's easier for me to write if I want to show something. I can also make my phone, so I'll go ahead and flip it horizontally. And I can do the same thing, right? So I can do a horizontal view and they can see something wider on my screen. Does everyone see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So use your phone. It's a good document camera that you can use. I'll just put it here. I can write something, right? I hope you enjoyed the session. And there you go. So my students can see exactly what I'm writing. I can go ahead and there's my little cat right there. I can put that there. So you can see that this is a great document camera. Once I'm ready to just end this, I can go ahead and go back to my WebEx, click on stop, and there you go, right? So I just joined the meeting as a participant using my phone as well. So a little bonus tip, also my beans and salsa for tonight. So one more thing I want to do is talk about using the Q&A function. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. And remember, this is the PowerPoint that I resized on my screen so I can still see everyone. And I'll go to the last one. So there's a Q&A function of Webex. I really just got used to this recently. So you can open up this QA feature by going to More and Q&A. So if you do this as a participant, next to the chat box, click on those three dots, the ellipsis, and then click on Q&A. And if you have any questions for me or comments, if you could write that in the Q&A box for me, and I'll go ahead and look at those. Or just tell me how you're feeling. Thank you, Fatma. So as the instructor, I can see all these Q&A questions or comments in my Q&A box. I can choose to share this. I can send this. I can send it privately. So I'll go ahead and send a message back. Thank you. And this is a great way I can get a feel for the room or just to conclude the classroom with that Q&A. Of course, you can also use the chat box, but this Q&A, you can respond to messages privately. And you can also remind your students that this Q&A option is available for the entire class session. Thank you, Beverly. So I sent Beverly a private message back as the instructor, right? So I can choose to respond to these as so. And that is it for our sessions today. So I hope that you learned a lot, some bonus tips as well for you as an instructor, just how to really engage your students with these built-in Webex tools. Thank you, Fatma. Are there any final thoughts or questions before we conclude? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Did you have fun today?
Did. I'm glad I noticed this on my, looked at my UDC and I saw this was being offered. So thank you.
Thank you. And also, you know what I'm going to have later on tonight. So perfect. Thank you, Beverly. So just a quick reminder, Beverly, and for everyone else here, we have a town hall meeting with our Blackboard rep, Lisa Clark. That will be on Wednesday, the 15th from 12:45 to 1:45 p.m. So just a little under a week from now on the 15th. You can attend virtually or live. You can find the sign up page on our PD website. So let me go ahead and put that in the chat box. And you can go ahead and sign up. If you do have any questions for Lisa Clark about using Blackboard, please let us know. We are going to tell her early next week. So I'll go ahead and thank you, Fatma. You can go ahead and sign up for that. Again, it's on the 15th, live from the Learning Zone from 12:45 to 1:45 p.m.
Yeah, question or
Yes.
feedback, or you're upset from Blackboard, please, it's a town hall. The more question, more feedback, the it will be better town hall.
Definitely. I have my own questions I want to ask.
Yeah.
So there's a lot I want to know.
How are you letting faculty and people know about this?
Yeah,
I
so
mean, I just happened to see this meeting.
yeah, so we have our offering on our PD. The link I put it in the chat, and about the town hall, we will send it also out throughout UDC communication. And in October, we are having a newsletter. It will be including all our webinars for the month.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, we've been working behind the scenes to make it easier for you to know what's available. All right, so thank you, Fatma. Thank you, Beverly.
Yeah.
So I appreciate all of your time today. It's very valuable to have your voice in the discussion, so I appreciate it. I hope that I can meet you either in an office hours or a CAL office hours that we offer every single week and every day. And I hope you stay safe, and I hope that we run into each other in person. So I'll see you next time. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.